Hi, Osas. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How you doing, Janey?
Good.
Okay.
So here we are together to talk a little bit about COVID and what happened the year we stayed at home. So what were you doing at the time of the pandemic before the official lockdown? What was your life like?
Well, I'm a student, I told you this before. And so I'm a student at Edmonds College. So I was in school. I'm an international student. And so I was in school, and then we started hearing of this, and I had classes. And so I was just like, what's happening? We started cutting down our classes, and so we won't go to class. And thankfully, Edmonds has the hybrid system. And so, so we were able to take some of our classes online. And so we stayed at home and started working. And I think it was about the end of winter quarter. We're just getting ready for spring. And so that was about that time. I was just going, it was cool because I'm I'm actually school related, and so that's just what was happening. And we just started hearing news and stuff. So that's it. And you, what were you doing?
Well, I have been working full-time downtown in Seattle. And we started hearing about the potential for people working from home, that it was going to be a broadcast coming from the state's government that employers should start letting their employees work from home. And I was actually kind of looking forward to it because for a long time I had wanted to have that work from home alternative as a alternative work schedule. And last year, when my employer is involved in providing continuing education options, and for a particular profession. And last year during snow times, we had to cancel some of our live programs, and we had to switch over to virtual format, which we already had. We already had the ability to do webcasts and webinars. So, but this was different because now this was not only staff working from home, but it was our particular team that had to go from a live program format for many of our programs to a virtual format for everything since that March lockdown. So I, one Thursday afternoon, I could just feel it coming. In fact, our director said that an announcement was coming from the governor that day. So we kind of all were waiting with bated breath as to what was going to happen. And I went home. It was like midday, like there had been an earthquake or a snowstorm. And I thought, okay, I'm going. And from that time forward, I've been able to work from home, and it's been an interesting experience for sure.
So you were expecting it, yeah? You wanted something like this to happen, right?
I did. It was a different experience to really want to see something change and then have it come about so dramatically. And I felt like that change wasn't going to happen unless it was a geographically wide change. And I had no way of predicting that this would happen. I didn't have any real inkling that this could happen. So I was surprised, and yet it was a pleasant surprise in many ways.
Yeah, really? So how what were now the positive, effects? Because you're saying pleasant surprise. Why pleasant?
I had been spending about 2 hours on the bus every day to commute to downtown for the last 10 years. And when I added that time up, I realized I was spending almost 40 hours a month riding a bus. And if you put that into perspective, that's about 2 full days, 24/7, doing nothing but riding a bus. And the thought for me when we started to stay home was, no more wear and tear on my body. Those buses were crowded. They were not always a pleasant experience,
True.
noisy, and just not a real fun thing to do. And so taking that element out of the equation was really important, because I knew I could start doing a little more self-care while still remaining very productive in my home office.
Do you have friends? Do you have friends? So do you see your friends now? Do you, talk with them? So at the office, I mean, at your office, yeah.
Well, in the office we have
coworkers at the office.
Coworkers. Mostly my work setting was a work relationship with everyone. So I didn't have like close friends that I couldn't see at the time, but we certainly carried on with our Zoom meetings and team meetings, and the sense of connection ran for a very long time. It was ironic to me to realize that when I saw my coworkers those first several weeks, I kept envisioning that they were in the office. I felt they were there and I was here.
All right.
And it wasn't until a few months later that I started now thinking of them as being in their own homes as I was.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just a strange phenomena.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I kind of I missed school because I'm the kind of person that likes to work with people,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm doing an assignment, for instance, and so you're like, no, don't do this, and then we laugh about it, and so yeah, and so it was different when I had to do assignments, when I had to do classwork, and so not seeing my classmates, I think it kind of made me not depressed, but I wasn't too happy about it,
Mm-hmm.
And so I could reach out to them, I could talk with them, but it wasn't just the same having your classmate sit by you and you actually, the lecturer says something and you ask, oh, what was that? And he says, okay, or she says she has, she tells you a little bit more about what was said, or at the end of the day, you're asking each other about things and how I missed it personally, I missed the classroom environment.
Mm-hmm.
I missed at the end of the day having to walk up to the lecturer, like after an English class or something, and have the lecturer explain to you something she said, and so when we had to do it online, I had to send an email, asking the same question when I could have simply walked up to you to ask the question. But, well,
I can see you had a social connection there, and it provided a sense of liveliness that I'm sure you did miss. My customer service, the service that I provide for customers where I work is generally done by telephone and email. So that aspect didn't change when I came home, and I still had that interaction with our members through email and through phone calls. So to me, that helped keep the flow going. What I did realize was I did a mental shift pretty early on, and I appreciate it because it feels like a survival skill that I didn't really have to find or figure out. It was there. But that was to call my friends and loved ones every week. In fact, my goal for those first few weeks was to have one phone call a day.
Oh, really? Do you keep up with that?
And I had a cousin in Iowa, a cousin in Phoenix. I had a sister in Portland, and others, and friends in the area. And what I found when I called was they answered their phone right away, and they were equally engaged. and they
Yeah, I
showed
agree.
care and concern. And it was
Right.
beautiful because I felt that
Yeah.
we were all, in a way, we were all in an uncertain time, but we were trying
Mhm.
to be there to hold each other up.
Yeah, that was good. That's, that was a good goal.